Hello, it's Shoaib here from Media King. Feels good to be back. I'm sure you guys are probably wondering when I was going to do another video. So yeah, apologies, it's been a while and just been busy with the usual 9 to 5 work and family and other commitments. So it's good to be back. I think where we could carry on from is, if we just look at my page here, let's look at the videos. Now, in the last video, in the website tutorial part 4, we created the website and added the style to it and uploaded it online to the server. But I think a good tutorial to carry on from is website tutorial part 3, where we created our first website email contact form. Now, if you haven't seen that one, please go back and look at that video first. We create the form from scratch. So I think in this video we'll carry on from that, and we will make the form work online, because before the form would probably just send you an email. I think it sent you an email from to any email address, but it was using Outlook, and if your Outlook isn't configured, that's not really going to work. So we'll use PHP to make it work with our PHP web server, so it could send an email from any web page of our website once it's online. So we'll look at the form itself. You can see it's slightly changed. I'm gonna make my screen slightly smaller so you can see everything there. Yeah, so the form has slightly changed. I went to this website here, myphpform.com, to pick up a good reference. So I'm using their form at the moment. I think the only extra thing it's got is one extra input here for the website. Names are slightly different. It's also got a question here about if you like the website. It's also got a question about how you found this website. It's a drop down list here. These are called radio buttons: yes, no, not sure, and this is known as a drop down list. And it's got a comment box and a send email button. So if we look at that there, in raw format, it's a HTML file, or a front end page, front end file as it's known, and it looks like this here. So you can see here, again, we've got the contact. It's the title of the page, which is up here, contact. We have the style sheet. We're using the same style sheet that we used throughout the website, known as style.css, body, and then we have the unordered list for our navigation menu, which is the home page, services, about, etc. Then the form is the only main thing that's different here. I'll explain a little bit about what this form does. So in the first tag, we have 2 arguments. First one is action, second one is method. The action one, it calls another page called contact.php, which we'll look at in a minute. So once this form is processed, what happens is it actions something, and that action is pull or call this page here called contact.php, and method is post. The method really means how you send this data. Usually you could use get or post, and you could read up a bit on those online to understand what they really do. In short, post, it just posts this data into a PHP file there. Get is usually more about retrieving data, as the names go. Yeah, so we've got your name, subject, email, website, which correspond to these fields here. And then we also have, do you like this website, and the 3 options: yes, or no, or not sure, which are radio buttons. As you can see, these are input types for the text boxes. These radio buttons are input type of radio. radio here. Okay, and the value is not sure, no or yes. Values are important here in the name. You need to remember that because they'll be used when we're processing the PHP file. The next section is how did you find us. Is this drop down here where we have here how did you find us. Then you have, instead of input text or type radio, we have options this time for radio buttons. We have please select an option there. We have this is used if you don't select an option, but as you can see, when the page is loaded there's already a selection. However, you can use some JavaScript to escape that, but that's out with the realms of this tutorial. The options are Google. Sorry, we're not talking about the radio buttons here. We're talking about the drop down here. Please select is the first option here, which is this one here is known as value, and there's no value. Option value, please select is that one there. Next one down, Google, which is an option, Google. Then we have Yahoo, link from website, word of mouth or other. There you go, word of mouth or other. Further down we have your comments, and it's a text area input this time. You can see it right there, text area. And if I'm moving too fast, again just pause the video and you can copy this whole code from the top there. It's a simple HTML file with a form to the end there. Comments, the submit button right here, the value says send email. We could change that to anything. As you can see on the front end here, the moment it says send email, we could change that and make it say just send as well. And I'm leaving the powered by myphpform.com because I'm going to give credit to them since they made this PHP form. So that's it. All we do is copy this, go into our web server, look at our contact form, and if you're using cPanel like me, you've got a code editor here where you can edit your code in the browser in a new tab. Highlight your form and paste it in, hit save. The only thing that should be different here is the send button. Hit refresh, and there you go, it says send. Now what happens when you press send? Remember we said we process this contact.php file, and that's correct. So let's look at this contact.php file. So I'm going to close this HTML file, don't save, which is this right here. And for any of you, if you're wondering if you want the code that I'm using here, I don't really need to paste it in my description box there or send it to you. You could just go on my website here. You can see the URL up here, right click, view source, and you have all the code here. Simple as that. And then you can just copy and paste. Okay, you know how to do that by now. So let's look at the contact.php file. So we'll create a new file first in here. New file contact, or let's call it something better. Let's call it process form.php. So this will be the page that processes our form. Create file. My server's moving a bit slow. Here we go, it's refreshing now. That's it, created there. So what we're going to do in our contact page, in the form, instead of calling it contact.php, we'll call it process form.php. Hit save on that there. Okay, we'll close that. Now we'll look at this process form.php code editor, and the code for it is right here. I'm gonna copy that code and paste it in. Again, this code is from myphpform.com. And let me just explain a little bit about what's going on here. So it's a PHP file, you could tell because it starts with a PHP tag at the top and ends with another question mark and a greater than symbol, which means anything in between these two tags is all PHP code. You could have some HTML code inside it as well, like you see there. Okay, so let's start from the top. We have a PHP variable here. This stores our email address data, which is the actual email address. Then we have we're checking all the inputs from the form, and we're taking everything from the front end page. Let me just open it up, contact.html code editor. So let's look at our form, and yep, so here's our form. Your name and the name of the input tag here is called your name, and in our PHP form you can see here your name. Then we have subject next, which corresponds to the front end page, again subject. Then we have email and website, again email and website, and like it, how, and comments are down here. Like it, which is 3 because there's 1 or 3 options you can choose. How is how you found them, and comments is a text area box there for any comments you may have. And what happens here is really in these brackets is we're taking the data that we input on the front end page in our HTML file and storing it in PHP variables. I'll go over variables in another tutorial if you want to learn a bit more about programming and PHP itself, although many other programming languages like Java or C# use variables as well. So they store it in that there. And then next, if the email is not in the valid format, show an error message. This is the error message here. So this checks if it uses a regular expression known as a preg match, and we check if it's in that format there, and checks this email variable, which is this email variable here, which came from what was inputted from the front end. If it's not valid, show this error message. Email address is not valid. Next, if the URL isn't valid, set the website to empty, website variable to empty, which is this one here, which is from the front end. If we look at the website is your website, your website URL. If you don't put one, that's fine. It will just leave it as blank. It will set it to blank, sorry. Next, we prepare the email message. Again, we use the message variable and we write hello. We construct it basically line by line. So write hello, your contact form has been submitted by, and then we put the data that was found in the front end form. So the name will be whatever was inputted. Oops. The email again was whatever was inputted in that variable, and the URL the same. Then do like the website, we display what was stored in the like it options. Then how did you find it? We display how they found it through the drop down list, if you remember, which was this one here, and the name is how they found it. And then comments from the comments box, we end the message. Then we actually send the email itself by using a PHP function called mail function, which takes the email that was prepared, the subject, and the message. The message obviously we constructed right here, as you can see. The subject, was there a subject set in this one? Yes, it was. Please write a subject. It's up here, so it must be in our front end page. Yeah, subject there, you write a subject. And then what else was the my email? Well, let's see, what's my email? My email at the top. Okay, so it uses my email address and whatever you enter here to send the subject and the message to this email address here. And the functions we used as well, check input. Let's just check, is it up here? Okay, check input. It checks the input of the message and see if it matches the data PHP expects, which is make sure there's no HTML special characters, there's no lashes, and it trims bad data when your data looking like it's trying to break our form. And then we have an error as well. We say function might show error, and we use the variable my error. Any error is stored here, and then we say we've got a HTML form. We say please correct the following error, and we echo or print out PHP function and display what's in that my error. In the my error, we actually display what was an error. So up here we could see show errors gets stored in there, or gets passed to this function. And that's it. I think explaining anything else more in depth might confuse you beginners, so we'll leave it there as that. So we'll press save. Remember to before you save this, to make sure this section here under my email variable actually contains your real email address, and that's the email address you will be expecting emails to come through to from your contact form here. So we can save this. So in my case, I'll receive emails at mediaking11@gmail.com once everything is set up. So we press save on there. Server's running a bit slow, as you can see. Oh, success, that's been saved now there. Yes, actually, before I move on, there was one more thing I wanted to talk about in this PHP file. It's the redirect here. I don't know how I missed that. So once the email has been sent, we redirect the user or visitor by using the header function, setting the location to redirect to as a thanks.html page. So once everything has been sent and it's fine, we get redirected to this HTML page here. So let's press save. Nothing to save. So let's look at that thanks.html page. What page is this? This is the contact form. Where's the form? Got to enter. So we'll create one right now. In fact, new file, thanks.html. File save, and the code for that again is from my PHP form.com, and this is the thanks page here. Press copy on that and code it, and as you will see, it's just a simple HTML file and coding that you've all, I'm sure, got experience of by now as well. HTML tags, header tags, the title for the page. We have a style sheet referenced as well, so we keep the style consistent across the whole website. Close off the header tag with a body, and then we've got our navigation menu again, which you are aware of. And then it just says the message was sent. Your message was successfully sent. Thank you for contacting us, and we will reply to your inquiry as soon as possible. Close off the HTML page with a body and ending body and ending HTML tag. So I'm going to save that there. Press save. So if we look at how this actually works on the back end first, before we test out the form, we have a contact page file, or HTML if you like. So we have what we see here again, as you know, is what's going on here. So we fill in the form, then we call the process.form PHP file, which is here. Then we process our form with a PHP processor and the code, or if you're more technical, you say PHP engine processes our form, and then once it's all okay, we pull over the thanks.html file, which is this one here. Just says thanks, and then we have an option to go back to the home page via our navigation menu. So if I save everything there, I think everything is saved. I'm going to close them, save again just in case, and as well, just in case. So I'm going to refresh our page. I'm going to test the email form now. So this is the moment of truth, and if you've been keeping up with me and all your code is okay, your form should send an email out to your email address too. So name, I put my name in there, Shoaib. Subject, let's write need website developed. My email address, I'll just write test email. I will use that one there, testemail@gmail.com. Website, We'll put NA for now because we don't have one. Do you like this website? Yes. How did you find us? Let's say Google. Your comments, please email me as soon as possible. And we're going to press send, and we should get an email address to mediaking11@gmail.com, which was what I set in the PHP file. So let's press send. There you go. That looks very good to me. Your message was sent. Your message was sent successful. Thanks for contacting us. We'll reply to your inquiry as soon as possible. You could go back to the home page. Now let's check if we received the email in my Gmail address. Nothing in there. Let's check the spam box. Spam. Nothing there yet. We'll give it a minute or two. There could be a slight delay, obviously, with my server checking everything is okay. We'll let's see how long it will take to actually come through. Let's refresh the whole inbox. Yeah, here we go. Perfect. We have the email in there. It says it's from designer4 because that's the name of my email server at my domain name, designlove.co.uk. Need a website developed, and then this is the same. Hello, your contact forms were submitted by Shuaib, blah blah blah. Like the website, yes, Google. Please email me ASAP. End of message. And this structure here of what we see in this email address is the structure we have in the process form.php. If we look at that again, here we go. Here's the structure. Hello, your contact form was sent by blah blah blah. Like the website, comments, and we look at our email. Here we go. Same structure. So there you have it. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial, and now you've got a fully functioning website with a home page, services list, an about us page, and a contact form that works. And this is free to use as long as you want it to. Basically, you can have it running forever. One thing I should have mentioned at the start is when you upload your files to your server here, your web server has to be a PHP enabled web server to process these PHP files. HTML files are fine, but to process any PHP, you have to have an Apache web server or a web server which processes PHP file using whatever type of server you may have on there. So if you don't have a PHP web server, you'll have to speak to your web hosting and ask them to give you that or to enable it in some way. If you have any specific queries, please comment below about how you actually host your website, and so you could access it on the front end here. Any PHP coding or any question about the actual tutorial itself and how you go about building your website. Until next time, thank you. Bye bye.